Well, hello everyone. How are you? I know you probably
I
missed us last week. I get that, but we're back.
I was on a business trip
Yes.
that got me having the Count Crudulicious.
Yeah.
I'm still under the Count Crudulicious.
Why
It's a
do you
little,
have a lisp when you say crudulicious?
it's a little annoying.
You kind of channeled what was that guy? Mandatory Fun Day. You kind of channeled hello there, welcome. You kind of said it a little bit like that guy. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
apparently I didn't go on the trip either, but I've got something cruddy because I wake up with like oysters and frogs in my throat, and I'm just like, ugh. So,
Yeah, my trash can is the. Yeah, I don't even want to talk. It's gross. Basically,
why I have a spitter, which is not a spitter, it's a flemmer. Ew.
yeah.
Anyway, so welcome everybody to the latest and greatest episode of the Battle Bros podcast with your hosts. My name is Mac. This is Alma over here to my side. Thanks for joining us on our usual broadcast time of 2100 hours. Friday night Eastern Standard Time. How the hell are you out there? Yeah, it's we took the week off last week because Alamo here was on a business trip. He got in kind of late. He was out of town for a couple of days, so that kind of made it hard to do our usual um schedule of meetings and stuff to kind of get things going where they need to
Yeah.
get going on. So I was just like, let's just scrap it, which was kind of nice to just have like free time to do something on a Friday night. It's like, oh wow, this is what this is like. Got it.
Pretty nice. Pretty
Okay.
nice.
You're like, yeah, 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 yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Ugh, I sound like crap, dude. Jesus.
Yeah.
My daughter, she's like, wow, you sound different. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like,
Called a
duh.
frog is in my throat.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're gonna power through it. We might not talk quite so much tonight, but we're gonna power through it. So anyway,
Hey. Hey.
if you caught our last show, which was 2 weeks ago, that was episode 106. We talked about the subject of brotherhood. Again, I want to give another shout out to our good friend Brian. Brian came on the show and we kind of talked about it. He embarrassed the crap out of me because he was talking about a bunch of different things. You're good. You're off camera. Do what you got to do. Um, he is either tooting his horn, getting ready to crap, or he is hawking up oysters. But anyway, yeah. So Brian came on the show and gave
A little
us
bit of
a
both.
little. Yeah, that's what I figured. If you're sitting there going like this, or doing the LDA moment, it's like, oh, he's got to go chunk. It's all good. I've done it, so you got to join the club there, buddy. Anyway, as I was seeing, I got every time I talk about it, I got to do this. So, anyway,
Yeah. Yep.
damn it. That's why I got drinks over here. I got devices to hold all this crap. It's just awful.
Stuff
Anyway,
to whistle.
it's a whistle. The other day, it was so bad, dude. I sound like I was going through puberty again. I was like, why are we talking like that? Like, my voice started cracking. My daughter just goes, what is that about? I'm like, I know.
It's like, honey, why don't you get over there? Get over there.
It was like, oh, it's awful. Absolutely trash. But anyway, like I was. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. If it was just that, it would have been funny. This was just like kind of thing. But as I mentioned, our last show 2 weeks ago, we had our good friend Brian on. He's our first repeat guest on the show. So shout out again. Thank you to Brian for coming on here and giving us kind of a testimonial.
Hell yeah.
On the topic of brotherhood. It was not his intention, but he ended up kind of, just talking about me and embarrassing the crap out of me and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I can't move. It's so awkward. But yeah, it was a good show.
It was a very good show. I
and
agree.
it's a topic that kind of is, important to our community. So
Importante, muy importante.
you go to Puerto Rico on your business trip. Now you're coming back being like the voiceover guy, who dubs everything in Espanol. Okay, whatever guy.
Bienvenidos al podcast del Battle Bros.
Oh my God, you sound like they do Sábado Gigante. That's so funny.
Don't sleep on that show. That was a great show.
Is it still on?
I
I
don't
think
know.
it is.
I think Don Francisco's still alive. For sure.
I think Mima watches that shit every Saturday, right?
Wouldn't
Sábado is
surprise me.
Saturday, right?
Sounds like Mima. Well, I mean, Sábado Gigante, yeah.
Sábado is Saturday
Saturday, yeah.
because Sunday is Domingo. Okay, I'm trying, dude. I learned this stuff a long time ago, and I'm like, I remember a couple of them. That's it. And I'm just like, I need to get back on it. So, anyway, before we get into this week's conversation, we have a couple of news articles from this last week. Don't have any links that we're going to share on the screen. I'm just going to kind of run through these because it was, you know, we were both kind of feeling cruddy, so we don't have the usual in-depth notes that we normally have. So live show, bear with us. So this last week, excuse me, this last week was Infantry Week for the Army, and they had a bunch of different things going on. They had the best squad competition. They had the best mortar squad competition. I'm sorry, not best squad. The best mortar team. They had the best sniper competition, and they had the best ranger competition. And 75th Ranger Regiment pretty much did what they always do. They led the way. So they won best mortar team. They won the sniper thing, the sniper competition, and they also had a group. Two first lieutenants from 75th Ranger Regiment that won first place at the best ranger competition. Pretty much took the lead and kept it the entire way through the thing. So good on you guys for doing that. But there's also a couple of interesting kind of side notes in that. So they had the first for the best ranger competition. We had our first female soldier compete in that. She is a first lieutenant, I believe, and she was on a team with a male officer, a captain. They placed, I think, 12th out of the competition, which was like close to 52 teams. So for them to be in the top third, it's like, okay, that's not bad at all. So good on you guys.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty good. A lot of teams drop out and don't finish. So, hey, it is what it is. So there was that. Also, another interesting fact is that during the best sniper competition, fifth place went to a team of two guys that were from the U.S. Coast Guard. So it's like, all right, way to go, man.
Okay.
Everybody gives you shit. Good way to shut them up. Be like, fifth place. All right. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here, have a Coke and smile, and shut the fuck up.
It makes, and I'm gonna be honest, that actually kind of makes sense because some of these guys have to be pretty crack shots if they're gonna be freaking knocking people in the heads, on a wave,
in the ocean. I mean, hell, they just had. I mean, you're sitting there, you got guys doing that kind of crap. They're out there fighting against like Somali pirates and all that kind of shit. It's like that's no joke, man. That's legit.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah,
a lot of interesting stuff.
Coasties, they guard a lot of shit, including embassies and all that stuff. So
the one thing I thought it was so cool is that they have that unit called HITRON, which is like the High Interdiction Tactical Squadron, where they're flying around like the Dolphin helicopters, and there's like stopping drug running boats down there in South Florida. Like they're sitting there shooting 50 cals.
High Interdiction Tactical Squadron.
It's called HITRON. HITRON is what it's called.
Okay.
RON is the way that they shorten squadron. So it's HITRON. It's like High Interdiction Tactical Squadron or some stuff. I forget exactly now. I got to look it up. Damn it, Alamo. Is what you did to me. Making my freaking...
I don't know. I thought it was cool. A hit squad.
HITRON USCG. Helicopter Interdiction Tactical Squad. I was wrong. Helicopter Interdiction Tactical Squadron. HITRON.
Still can, if you hit,
But yeah, those guys are some badasses. Like they go out there in the MH-65 helicopter. Those are the small maneuverable ones, the Dolphin helicopters.
Nice.
It's badass shit. So yeah, Coast Guard placed 5th at the best sniper competition. Good on you, Coasties. Good stuff. And then the other piece of news, what I just found about last night, Medal of Honor recipient and former not former, but Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant Dakota Meyer actually had a reenlistment ceremony at the Pentagon in the Hall of Heroes. So
Whoa.
this is interesting because of the fact that there are still some people, some recipients of the Medal of Honor that are still on active duty. Colonel William Swenson, who was awarded it as an Army captain, has separated, I think, and then got back in. Now he's a lieutenant colonel, some other stuff. But he's the only living recipient from the Marine Corps of the Medal of Honor to be back in actual service. Now he has re-enlisted, I should say, excuse me. He re-enlisted into the Marine Corps Reserves. So I don't exactly know where that or when that is, or I'm sorry, where that is or whatnot, but it did specify that he did re-enlist into the Marine Corps Reserve. So welcome back to the fleet, Sergeant Dakota Meyer, Medal of Honor recipient. So
And
that
there's
was
only
actually,
there's only certain spots where the reserve is for the Marine Corps, right?
yeah,
I mean,
because they only have, you know, the Navy and the Marine Corps only has the reserves. Like the only Marine unit around here that I'm aware of is 4th Marine Amphibious Assault Battalion, which is that big ass armory that's out there on Gandy Bridge on the west side of the bridge on the Tampa side.
Gotcha.
So anybody that's in the area, they pretty much kind of get lumped into that unit. If there's not something going on that meets at like MacDill, I would think. Who knows? I know plenty of guys in other branches that go for reserve duty out to MacDill and stuff, depending on what their MOS is. So who
Gotcha.
knows? But
Nice.
it was actually a pretty cool thing. They had I got to watch the video of it. It's not even 20 minutes, like maybe 17, almost 18 minutes. But it was actually presided over by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who actually knows Sergeant Meyer on a personal level, probably from just his background as a news commentator beforehand and whatnot. But I didn't know this, but he's married to the daughter of former presidential candidate Sarah Palin. He's married to her daughter, and they have two
Oh,
daughters together. I didn't know that. I was
okay.
like, oh,
And
that's
this
pretty
is this Pete Hegseth or is that Dakota Meyer?
Dakota Meyer. Dakota
Ah,
Meyer, excuse me. So yeah, and he actually gave praise to his daughters. He goes, "I have learned more about being a leader from my daughters and all of my time in the Corps than the action that saw me, get awarded the Medal of Honor and all this stuff." And I was like, "Wow, that's a powerful statement." And it was kind of a moving speech. He's like, "I love this country so much. There's freedoms that we have that I can't, it's important that we do our best to protect that. So I am reenlisting into the reserves, yada yada yada." So I mean, dude, as a Medal of Honor recipient, you're maxing out promotion points every fucking time that comes
yeah.
up. It's like it's pretty dope. So, but anyway, yeah, he's the only Medal of Honor recipient in the Marine Corps that is still in the military, so to speak. Everybody else, I believe, is separated or they were awarded posthumously. So, because Kyle Carpenter has been separated for a while, so I didn't know he went through like 40 surgeries in 3 years because he threw himself on a grenade. It's like yikes. If you ever
Yeah.
want to get some like motivating stuff, people like go online and read the citations for Medal of Honor recipients and the actions where they were cited for to be awarded the Medal of Honor. It's some pretty high speed shit. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, but anyway, so that's all we got for news this week. We're gonna get into our topic now. So, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a story first before we get into our topic. This has a lot to do with what we were talking about. So, I had, um, I hope, sweetie, if you ever happen to see this show, because you're not watching it right now, I guarantee it. But if you're watching this show, just know that I'm not saying this to embarrass you. I'm saying this to bring this up because this was very much a big motivating factor for us talking about this. And I just think this is a story that should be shared. So please know that I love you and I'm not embarrassing you. And if you need to punch me in the arm later, I get it. That's fine. So I had a
Yeah. Give me a
moment
good,
with,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, he throws punches like a banshee. Jesus Christ, dude. She follows through instinctively, and I'm just like, "Ugh, that sucks. Like, jeez, whoop my ass by my daughter. Anyway, so I had a moment. earlier this week. So grade report cards came out, and I got off of work. I came home. I looked it up. I printed it out, and my daughter had made A's and B's, which was I was like ecstatic with. She made all A's last semester, last 9 weeks, which great. That's awesome. But she
Yep.
made A's and B's, and I was like, okay, fantastic. Now I showed her. Called her into my office. I said, "Hey, do you know what you got on your report card?" She goes, "No." And I showed her, and she went, "Ugh, I could have done better." And I'm like, "Whoa, where is this coming from?" She goes, "Because I didn't get all A's." I said, "Okay, hold on, sweetie." I was like, "You're like catastrophizing right now, so let's like time out and let's talk about this for a second." I said, "Why do you think you could have done better?" She goes, "It wasn't perfect. I didn't get all A's." I said, "Sweetie, I don't expect you to be perfect. You're at that age where you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make errors.
Yeah.
As long as you're putting in the best effort you can, and as long as you learn from the mistakes you do make, then that's all I can hope for as a parent and as a mentor, a coach, so to speak." I said, and I kind of gave her some context, not to get all of her business out. I'm like, you had a bunch of stuff going on this last 9 weeks. You went to all state chorus for 2 days in Tampa. You had something else happen while you were there, which I don't want to get into because it's a little personal. But you also had all county, which was like 4 weeks in a row on a Thursday afternoon kind of thing. You had another concert that was locally, and you had a performance by one of your school groups and stuff that was local. The fact that you maintained A's and B's despite having all of that stuff going on, like, I'm pretty damn proud. I don't expect you to make straight A's because you have all this extracurricular stuff going on. I was like, so I don't want you to start feeling down on yourself and like questioning yourself. I said, you're doing great. You're giving your best effort. You're doing your homework, you're getting that done. You're maintaining your extracurricular activities, and you're not really slouching any one spot. You're kind of keeping everything up at a good, consistent level of participation and whatnot. So like,
Yeah.
good on you. So that story is part of this conversation. But the other thing too is like, as people, as veterans, um, there is something that happens in our lives that can really just kind of, and ladies, I'm sorry to say this, but ladies, this can happen to you too. You can get kicked in the dick. No, I'm not making some kind of weird trans LGBTQ statement. I'm not trying to be derogatory. It's a
Yeah.
matter. It's a figure of speech. Ladies can get kicked in the dick too. So
Yeah.
it happens. And that happens when we have doubt. So this is the topic of our episode. This is episode 107 of the Battle Bros podcast, entitled Doubt. So, like I was saying, with veterans, like, or just as people, like, it's a very precarious thing, doubt, because it's not always a bad thing, but a lot of times it can be.
Yeah.
So before we get further into that, let's break down doubt real fast. So I'm glad you asked what the definition of doubt is. So doubt is defined as a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. Again, a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. Now, sometimes, as I mentioned, doubt cannot necessarily be a bad thing. Okay. You can have positive doubt. Okay. So, like, if you doubt something and it's not necessarily negative, what can that lead to? Well, it can actually motivate you to have critical thinking. It can cause you to give something deeper questioning, just a genuine, serious, like, inquiry about something, like, I really
Right.
am curious about this. And it can also lead you to maybe, that questioning, that inquiry in your head can cause you to have some new insights. So hell, doubt's not always a bad thing. It can cause you, especially like if you're doing some type of science experiment, you have doubts. Okay, maybe it's not this. I think this is the hypothesis I have, and I doubt that that's going to happen, or I doubt the results of my hypothesis. Now it happens. Okay, that's not a big deal.
Correct.
Now, a lot of times, speaking from a dude over here, but he'll probably agree with me. Doubt can be a real kick in the ass. It can be doubt's a real motherfucker, right?
It sure can be.
So Negative doubt can lead to a lot of not so great things. Okay. We're talking anxiety, we're talking low self esteem, and we're talking about inaction. Okay. Doubt can actually cause you from going and having a plan of action, just being like, I'm so doubtful of this, it's giving me anxiety that I don't want to do anything at all. And that can just be awful. Okay. Because then you get into that whole fear of missing out. And it's like, oh, I was so doubtful I didn't do this and now I regret that. And it's a shitty spiral, is what it is. Okay. It's just
Sure enough.
right down to the black hole of despair and doom and all that kind of stuff. So what did you want to add to this part so far there, my dude?
No, honestly, I can agree with that completely. I, speaking from my own experience, have dealt with that. Kind of going down that black hole of just, well, here we go. Another, you know, another time where I'm just not going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it came to a lot of it came from, me moving around in my career or not moving at all in my career.
Not having the upward progression you were hoping for.
Correct.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of, or things that fell through, you know. Um it can be a real son of a bitch when you're trying to get out of that funk, because doubt can do a lot of things to you. One of the things that it can do to you is it can bring you down, like, into the abyss, and you're gonna be freaking, drowning in the black sea of just, why am I here? And it can be it can be suffocating, man. It can be
Yeah.
suffocating. It really can be. Um,
I think the thing for me, not to interrupt you, the thing for
no.
me is like when I was looking at this stuff up and it said low self esteem, I'm like, oh, they're talking to me here. Why do they always
Yep.
got to single me out? I don't like this. And it's not, but it's just like that's what I can relate to and associate with. And I'm just like, oh, it's going to be one of these shows. Fuck. So, yeah.
Basically.
Like one of the things I hate, dude, is like, and sometimes you have to, like you just talked about, maybe switching jobs. Like,
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm very confident person. But there's times when like things happen outside of your control where you just doubt yourself and you're just like, and like I just find like if like I'll look and I'll just be like, dude, you're being really hard. Like it's kind of like almost like I've got like two people in my head. And it's like, you're such a it's just you're terrible at this, blah blah. And you're like, dude, why are you being so hard on yourself? Shut up, leave me alone. I'm have low self-esteem right now.
I
And
am the
like,
supreme commander of that shit. Let me
oh
tell you.
my god, it's terrible. Like, and like, it's
Sucks.
such a relief, like when you get hired for a new job because you're like, okay, good, that anxiety is over with of like not having to have the doubt. Like, did I do good in the interview? Did they like me? Did they really, really like me? Did I not sell myself? Am I underwhelming? And it's just like, oh, and then kind of also the same thing, like when you get I would kind of imagine that you get out of the military. It's like, if you think about it from a very early point in our military careers, we're pretty much told that we're kind of given like this testosterone shot to our ego going, you can fucking do anything you want as long as you can get your head on right and get out there and do it. And like you kind of get like this over, not an extreme sense, but you get this like inflated sense of ego where it's like I can do what
Yeah.
I want. I'm a badass. I'm young. I'm fit. I'm in good shape. I can do what the fuck I want. Mind you, that's not
Mhm.
always the case, but then you're given purpose and you're told like you can, yeah, go out there and be Billy Badass. And then when you separate out or you actually get to your unit and it's not quite the way you thought it was going to be, and you're like, oh, I'm not awesome like that. I'm just another swinging dick in the crowd with
Yeah.
every other Tom, Dick, and Harry. So there's that. So you kind of like get in various degrees, you kind of get humbled. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
you're new here. I get
absolutely.
it. You're a cockstrong young dude coming from basic training. You ain't done shit. You ain't been nowhere. Sit the fuck down. Shut the fuck up. Learn from the guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because like I had two guys in my unit. Um, One of them that had only been in my first sergeant Jaeger was awesome. He had only been in two companies. He'd been in Bravo 175 and he'd been in Bravo second of the 124. That's it. He's been in Ranger Battalion and he's been in the Guard. That's it. That's all he knew was light infantry lifestyle. And then another guy that I really looked up to was Sergeant Barrison. He was in Somalia for Black Hawk Down, for all that shit. Like he was there. So like that's a guy that like you could really talk to. And
Which, speaking of, have you watched that documentary on Netflix?
I don't have Netflix, so no. Is it good?
That's a good one.
Like,
It's
is
a
it where all the guys go back? Like even like Chaplain Strucker goes back over there, and he's not exactly being the most holy dude. He's a little bit
No.
more. There was one I saw where like he's over there and he's like, yeah, man, we started taking rounds from over here. Like it was fucking wild, man. Like Chaplain Strucker kind of washed away a little bit, and it was like Ranger Strucker was right there. He's like, man, we were in some shit, man. It was awesome. It was like it was scary, but it was like I was just like, this is a chaplain. What? Hey, man, once a Ranger, always a Ranger. So it's all good. But so like you kind of get humbled real quick. And then also, on the flip side of that, it's like getting out, that support system of being in the military, having that goal, having that mission, it kind of gets stripped away from you a little bit. It's like, all the accolades and stuff. It's like, yeah, you can go and, you have things you've done, but at the same time, it's like, it's just not there anymore. Like you take all that stuff
Yeah.
and like we talked about with our first VIP segment with Brent, where it's like, you gotta like retrain yourself to think a little bit when you go to apply for these jobs. You gotta
Because in the
kind of
civilian world, none of that shit means dick.
I remember
They look at that and they're like, uh-huh.
great. And they're probably in the back of their heads going, oh, that's great. You fucking kill babies, you bastard. Yeah.
It's probably what they did think.
I remember somebody in my unit, I forget exactly who, but somebody was like, they went to apply for a job and it was like, they put down military experience and like it was a lot of it, like scout platoon, scout section leader or scout section sergeant or some stuff, this, that, and the other. And they're like, okay, so here's the job. You're going to ask them paper or plastic and you're going to take their groceries and you're going to bag their shit. And then if they want help out of the car, you take it out of the car and put it in their car. And then at some point, you'll return the buggies up to the store. So it's like you got all this stuff, and it kind of just get thrown to the wayside. So you kind of can doubt yourself a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
the accolades and the prestige and the allure that you've kind of built up at one point is just in the blink, in the flash of a pen. Somebody pencil whipping their signature on that 214. It's like, and it's gone. Boom.
Yep.
You are now, John Smith, civilian, veteran. Cool. Thanks for doing what you did. Call us in a few years when your knees start going bad. We'll get the VA process started for you. So,
Basically.
and not just that, but like there's other moments where you have a lot of doubt and not. I would bring up those points, but like it's going to get a little bit political talking about some of that stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's get into some
Yeah.
articles that we found to
I
kind
could
of
tell you.
talk.
I could tell you
What you
before
got?
you jump into that article,
Yeah, man.
because I know you're probably pulling up the fear anxiety one, right?
It is the veteranmentalhealth.com, the doubt trap.
Ah, the doubt trap. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I've had a lot of moments of doubt, like even like as a dad, just because
Yeah,
like
dude, nailed it.
knowing how knowing that my dad wasn't there for me the way I wanted him to be there for me. I've always like been very self-conscious about that with my kids. Like I'm always very like, am I doing enough? Am I, doing too much? Am I doing too little? Like I don't, you know, and then obviously there's those moments of like when like say for example, if you have like an outburst or something and like, you know, I've had some bad ones. I'm not gonna lie, it's to err is human. Um and you know, like you have that moment of like, well shit, I'm not a good dad. Like what the hell? And
Do you ever
you
get
know,
so down on yourself that like you have to just like walk outside and like you're fighting back tears and stuff? You're like, I am such a piece of shit. It's
yeah.
like, oh,
Oh yeah.
oh, God, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Keep talking about yourself. I'll add on my stuff at the end, man. Keep going.
No, absolutely. No, I've had, unfortunately, more than I'd want to count. It's not it's not like in the double digits, but it's enough where it's like, fuck, man.
And you with your personality, and I'm not saying this is a bad way. It's like you kind of fixate on those a little bit, and like they'll play in your mind from time to time. You're like, "Fuck,
Oh yeah.
I've
They'll
got
still
to,
they'll still replay from time to time.
yeah, that's the worst, man. Like it
It is.
sucks. It's so hard.
It is. Um, but yeah, man, without going too deep into it, and doubt. Like one thing I've always wanted to make sure I always did better, was be a good dad, you know, and especially growing up, not having my dad around the way I wanted him to be,
Yeah.
you know, when the doubt monster comes in and starts being like, "Ha, you're not a good dad. You're not a good dad." Yeah, and just starts doing that
Why
kind of
does
shit
the
in your
doubt
ear.
demon sound like why does it sound like one of the Simpsons characters?
Probably because I have a frog in my throat because of the
Probably
crow.
sounds like Sideshow Bob.
Oh wait, no, that's Krusty.
That Krusty, that's what I meant. It sounds like crap. Like it sounds like Krusty a little bit.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, man, it sucks. The only thing I can tell everybody, that's listening is, like, hey, when stuff like that starts popping up in your head, you gotta reflect a little. You gotta be like, okay, am I really these things that I'm saying I am? Well, let's roll back a little bit. Had to let a cough out.
You're good.
Let's roll it back a little bit. Like number one, am I here? Number two, am I perfect? If the answer is no, then you've already freaking acknowledged, okay, you're human.
That you're being honest with the
That you,
questions.
and you're being honest with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number three, are you are you are you consistently present? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I have to. There's a lot more to tack onto that list, but like it's like you know
Yeah.
you have to go through the checklist with yourself. You know, ladies and gents, you have to go through the checklist with yourselves and really think to yourselves like, okay, if all of these things here are a yes and only two of these things are a no, like, am I really as bad as I'm as saying I am? Chances are probably not.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Just something I was thinking about.
Well, I think another part of that too is you kind of have to look at the context of it all. Like, you know, I make the comparison of like I'm the middle of three. I had an older brother, I have a younger brother, and like I look at my parents. Now, mind you, three of us, we kind of grew up together. So there was that. Um, there was 8 years between me and my older brother. There's 2.5 years between my younger brother. and my parents were together
Yeah.
my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
They also had 3 boys. I have a daughter, and I am a single dad who's trying to co-parent. So I had to kind of at times I kind of have to pull my head out of my own fourth point of contact for those non-military folks that you're asked. Um,
Yeah.
I kind of have to pull my head out of my ass and just be like, "Hey, man, like you're doing pretty good." Like, I don't. I kind of have started to look at my daughter and just like to see how just amazing of a kid she is. And I'm not just saying this as like a dad brag, but I seriously mean that. It's like I see how amazing she is. How empathetic and kind she is to other people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm doing okay because my kid's not a shithead, So,
Yeah.
but there's that. And like a lot of times, like I would look, and just I look at, how my parents did it, and like, parenting styles change. Generational things happen. I
Yeah.
mean, they were the tough love. Nowadays, you kind of have to be a little bit more firm, but you have to kind of go into it with a little bit better understanding of the feelings and whatnot. Like, especially
Yeah.
being a girl dad, not at all trying to put my daughter on blast, but you know, she's she's going through that point in life where, her body is trying to sort itself out and hormones and all that stuff are changing and this, that, and the other. And like
Yeah.
she's like, I was crying last night. Why? I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Me too. I cry myself to sleep sometimes. I've sprained a wrist one time just punching a pillow because like I was just frustrated. Like, yeah. So doubt is just I hate to say that it's constantly there, but it kind of pokes its head up from time to time going, do you remember me? Huh? Hi. You forget about me? I'm still here. Hi. Kind of thing. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
especially as a parent, man, like it's so hard. Like,
Yeah.
especially
The little
especially
doubt monster is gonna get you.
the doubt demon, man, just
It's gonna
sucks.
get you no matter how hard you try for it not to. It's gonna get you at some point. And again, you got to go through the motions. You have to ask those hard questions to yourself. And sometimes they can be hard. Like, are you there? You know, are you present? Are you doing what you can? Are you freaking doing, are you trying to, show love whenever you can? All that stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Well, I think another part
And
of doubt too that I wanted to touch on that's a little bit more applicable to what we're talking about here is like doubt in the military. Another facet of it too is like getting put in charge of something like your first big test. It's like you don't want to mess up. I got made a team leader. I was pretty much, an E4 and in an E5 billet. So it's like I
yeah,
don't have the rank to go along with it, but I don't really think I need it. But like your first time outside the wire and you're responsible for shit, I'm just like, okay, don't freak out.
hmm,
It's like regular. We're just going to the airport and back. We're gonna take the route. Route's been planned. Con op sheets turned in. Vehicles check out. All that kind of stuff. Yada yada yada. But yeah, it's always just kind of like it's like a little chihuahua, just kind of like nipping at your ankle. It's just like fuck, it's still
yeah,
there. Yeah, it's still there. So anyway, we found some articles that we're gonna read real quick.
Huey,
But yeah, there's the one on here that I found. It's from September 21st of 2017. It was published by Dwayne France, and this is from a website called veteranmentalhealth.com slash doubt hyphen trap. So it's called the doubt trap and veteran mental health. Goes like this. I don't know what it is about Wednesdays. It always seems to be Wednesday when I doubt myself the most. Maybe because that's when I have the most time, too much time to consider what happened the previous 2 days or what is going to happen in the next 2 days. Oh, hold on, clicked off. Sorry. Maybe that's the true meaning of hump day, the highest part of the week, the workday that is equidistant to the solace of the weekend. What is it about doubt? We can be the most accomplished of professionals, have experience coming out of our ears. There may certainly There may be certainty and truth to backing up our thoughts, and still we may have doubt. I don't read minds, but I can imagine that there are some of you reading this saying, no doubt, no fear. You may be fooling yourself, but you're not fooling me. I know that there is still sometimes a small voice in your mind saying, yeah, but. Doubt is a
Yep.
natural reaction to uncertainty. We check to see if we are on. Oops, hold on. Sorry, my computer just moved because I had tugged the cord. Sorry. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. We check to see if we're on the right career path. There are questions about whether or not we've done all we could to raise our kids well or prepared for an event or meeting. We doubt our commitment, our ability, even our sanity at times.
Yeah.
Doubt is a part of our lives, but like other thinking traps, it can bind us so much as to paralyze us. It's this over application of doubt that traps us, makes us stuck and stagnant. Not sure what's ahead, we tell ourselves, so we might as well not even bother moving forward. That's the kind of thing that makes us mission ineffective. So, what purpose does doubt play in our lives? Here are some doubts that I have seen with veterans I've worked with. We doubt our own ability. This is not just in veterans, but imposter syndrome is real.
Tell me about it.
If certainty exists, it certainly exists in veterans. They can be some of the most accomplished professional military service members in the world, but will still doubt themselves and their abilities. They could have led a squad in Afghanistan, a company in Iraq, but there is still something about the unknowns of their post military life that makes them question themselves. Am I really as squared away as I think I am? We second guess our career choices, our resume, our clothes. Is it professional enough? Is it neat enough? Does it present the right information or send the right message? We second guess leaving the military, wishing we were back in where things made sense. Because that's one of the problems with doubt. Things just don't make sense. We doubt our ability to deal with others. Quote, I just don't know if I can handle this person is another sentiment I often hear. Handle often means coping with the emotions that are generated out of our interactions with them. The other person, our coworkers, students, civilians, as some veterans describe those who have never served. Anyone who is an other, who doesn't get it, who hasn't been there. This may move beyond a doubt into a certainty. I know I can't handle this person. What this often means is that we can't handle ourselves. We lack the awareness there is something within that might need to change. A way of thinking or some judgment that we can't let go of. Anyone can handle anyone else, but if we think we can't, then that's true. The trap of can't is just as much a cage as the trap of doubt and is in our control to release. We cast doubt in our past. Ooh, hold on. Sorry.
Huey.
I just don't know if I did enough. A shadow of doubt looms large over our past. Was my service enough? I didn't deploy. I didn't do what the guy or what that guy or gal did. I barely served or only served in peacetime. Disregard the fact that the military is an inherently dangerous occupation at all times. The doubt that we cast over our past can hold us back from moving forward, make us feel like we're less than capable. When regret and remorse over the past become stronger than our motivation to move beyond where we're currently at, then we are effectively trapped. We often take events in the past and carry them into the present. The doubts come with an additional emotional baggage: guilt, shame, anger. I should have done things differently. Again, these traps will keep us focused on the past rather than being attuned to the present and what's currently in front of our face. Allowing the past to remain where it is supposed to be in the past can relieve us from the doubt that we continue to carry.
Hmm.
We cast doubt on our future. The future is the true unknown. There is no telling what's going to happen when we get there. Despite the unknown, we stare into the future with burning eyes, willing the truth to reveal itself. We also stare at it with doubting eyes. Am I doing enough? We tell ourselves. Is this going to get me where I want to go? Forget the fact we often don't know where we want to go. We move forward without a destination just to be moving forward. Preach. Instead, we take hesitant steps into the future. We doubt ourselves, doubt those around us, doubt the past. Then we wonder why things are so complicated. Again, preach. Instead, we can let the future day. I'm sorry, let me try that again. Instead, we can let the future stay where it belongs in the future. If we focus on doing things well and doing things correctly now, the future will come. We can judge potential future self negatively and avoid a potentiality that may or may never, that may or many, that's probably supposed to be may never, and avoid
Yeah.
a potentiality that may or may never happen and tie ourselves up in knots. So, how do we resolve a crisis of doubt? By assessing whether or not doubt is necessary or correct, by remembering the accomplishments of our past, conquering those doubting thoughts, and stepping out body in spite of them. Not
I think
has
I think they meant stepping out of body.
Okay, yeah. There's some couple of typos in here that I didn't notice at
Yeah.
first. And stepping out of body in spite of them, not hesitating because of them. You can see more on how to overcome doubt by checking out this post, if it might just add some certainty to your Wednesday. So, and then it's talking about it's a blog for the Colorado Veterans Health and Wellness Agency, which is a 501c3 nonprofit in Colorado Springs and whatnot. But I read this and I was just like, oh man, yeah, they're totally talking about me here.
Mhm.
Holy crap. Like, oh my gosh. So, yeah. You good to read the next one there, dude? Or is your voice gonna give you a fit, maybe?
Uh, I hope not. I mean, it's a relatively short article. It's from Cardinal Points Online. It's basically titled "Fear, Anxiety, Doubt Clouds Judgment." Hold on. Do. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did
Hmm.
I don't know where that article is, dude, because I'm not on the right one. I've got one that says mindful.org.
Mindful.org.
Yeah. Like, was another article you were looking at or reading something before? So
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
I don't think you put it in the notes, dude. But that's fine, dude. I'll just follow along while you're reading. So
Oh, son of a biscuit. Yeah, you're right. I
it's all
didn't put
good.
it in there.
Don't worry about it, man. I'll just follow along. So go for it. I just
Oh,
want to make sure
hell.
I'm not messing up. So it's all good.
I just accidentally closed it. Doggone
Oh crap!
it. Live show,
Live
folks.
show, folks. Absolutely.
And
Beat me to it. It's like,
we've got
yeah.
we've got a case of the crudulous, so it's our brains aren't exactly working on all cylinders.
And if you can't find it, then we can just have a kind of a post article discussion about the one we just read, because I've got a couple of points I want to make on that. So all good. He's over there hawking up a lung, so just bear with us, folks. Don't be alarmed by what you see on your screen. Everything is under control.
Yeah, another addition to the
Yep. We're good. We're good.
yeah.
We're good. Yeah. So, do you want to talk?
So
You want to read the other article, or you want to just talk about the one we read?
no, because I like the one that I found better, and I'm not gonna lie, this one, after having read it a little bit, I was like, I didn't really like it, which I don't know why I added it if I didn't like it.
You talking about the mindful.org?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pull that one back up. So
Yeah. It was basically talking about how we're hardwired to doubt, and it's a good thing. Which, I mean, I can agree with that. There are instances where, having a little bit of doubt is a good thing. Um, I would say, especially when it comes to, um, you know, if you're one of those people that can read people fairly well, um, and you have a doubt about, their character, or if you have a doubt about their intentions, then yeah, that's a good thing. Definitely follow your gut on that. Um, I was watching something about how apparently there's like mirror neurons or something like that are in our brains or something like that it recognizes, like, it's basically looking for body language and patterns,
Hmm.
something that we're not even consciously looking for, but our brains are recognizing it, and that's why we have bad gut feelings around certain individuals.
Interesting. So there's a
And
correlation between the mirror neurons and that, like, I got
yeah,
the Han Solo. I got a bad feeling about this.
yeah, basically, yeah. So it was actually kind of cool, but yeah, but yeah. So yeah, that is a situation where you should trust the doubt.
So, what are we doing? Are you going to read the other article, or you just want to talk about the one we just read? Or
Nah, we could talk about the one we just read.
okay, like I said, folks, live show.
Live show.
So it was kind of funny, I was reading this article. I read it earlier in the week, and then I reread it today. And part of the conversation I had with my daughter earlier this week is, she's worried so far about, like, what if this, what if that, and this, that, and the other. And so where I live, I'm kind of on the downward slope of a hill on the main road. So probably about 100 feet up the road past my house, you crest a small hill. So I kind of gave her the example. I said, "Sweetie, we're standing over here." I said, "So what does that hill represent?" That hill represents the future. Can you see the future on the other? Can you see down the other side of the hill? No. Can you see the crest of the hill where the cars go down out of sight? Yeah. All right, cool. So you kind of have an idea of what you're looking for over there. I said, sometimes you can't worry about what's on the other side of that hill. You just have to, you're always going to be striving to reach and crest that hill and get down the other side.
Right.
And that's something you never stop doing because you're always moving forward and all that kind of stuff. I said, but you can look too far ahead to where you're starting to doubt yourself, and it's going to cause you nothing but problems. You're going to get that anxiety, the inaction, the low self-esteem. I was like, you
Exactly.
kind of got to do what you do when you're going through basic. Now, at least for me, I used to hate doing road marches at the time because you didn't know how long they were. Sort of, they didn't really tell us. I mean, you kind of told me about, like, it just, we weren't good at gauging how far you walked yet. Again, maybe just me.
Mhm. All right, man. This gonna be 3 miles.
Yeah,
Who?
and it ends up being like 6.
Yep. Because they did it on purpose because they want
Yeah.
to see if you can hang.
So, and I told her, I said, "Sweetie, you can't really look. I mean, you're in formation. You're worried about your immediate spot. You want to make sure you got your 5 meter spread between the guy in front of you and the guy behind you. You're not gonna try to bunch up, okay? As long as you stay in your zone." And for me, I couldn't look up because they would have like these long stretches of road out in the freaking boondocks of Fort Benning where you're just walking around all day for no reason other than
Boonies.
just, yeah. So I said, you just gotta, sometimes you just gotta focus right in front of you. And I saw something else. It was, I mentioned this to her. I saw a video where it had the guy, the artist Pitbull, and I forget what the translation was, but it was like, he said it in Spanish. It was like small steps, long journey, basically. And he said it in Spanish, and it actually sounded really pretty when he said it in Spanish. But it's like a lot of people want to do it the other way, where they take long steps and have a shorter journey. It don't work like that. You got to take the small steps and just put in the work, and you'll get there eventually, and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm kind of, spread this wisdom to my daughter, and she seemed receptive to it. And she was kind of like, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not completely full of shit at times, so that's good. But she kind of understand it, and like I was like, "So, sweetie," I think if you have any if you have any type of confidence, you got to have the confidence in yourself. Okay. You're going to get to the point you're going to ask later on down the road for me to, to trust you to go take the car to go to the movies or to this or that or whatnot. I said, as I start to trust more and more that you're going to be able to do these things, I have less and less doubt. So you got to have the confidence in yourself to go do these things so that I trust you. And then the trust is going to be the opposite of doubt. I know I got a little bit long winded there, but that's kind of the conversation I had. But
Hooey.
yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good talk, like for probably a good 20-minute discussion on this, and it's really fun too because because of the age she's at, she's going to be 11 this next week. So it's like crazy. Like she's still young, but it's like she's very mature for her age. She reads a
Yeah.
lot. She's got a very voracious reading appetite, and she seems like I give her crap about it. I'm like, oh, aren't you Miss well traveled, salt to the earth kind of stuff? But in a way, I'm like, fuck, she kind of is. Like she's smart. She knows a lot of shit. She has good instincts. So it's like, all right, like you just gotta trust her a little bit. So but it's really fun to see, like, especially when they're able to listen to these kind of conversations and really, take what you say to heart. It's not just like when they're younger and they're going, "Okay, daddy," and it's like straight over your head and stuff. It's actually kind of nice to have these great conversations where you hopefully try to have like these teachable moments or like these words of wisdom that they kind of get ingrained in their head and stays with them for a long time. So it's kind of a wonderful thing. It makes me doubt parenthood a lot less. So, but anyway, do you have anything else you want to add tonight, there, dude?
Mm. I would say, you know, doubts are going to come up. Um, I am like the freaking king of allowing doubts to run me for a little while. Um, and it sucks. But I am like the king of that shit. But I'm going to tell you right now, doubts are going to come up. But if you follow through, you can get past those doubts. You just have to you have to stop and remind yourself of essentially, you know, the things that, and this goes for parenting, this goes for job, career, whatever. You know, you have to remind yourself, like, kind of like going back into the recesses of your brain, and remind yourself of all the positives, right? It's kind of like that taking what's the taking inventory of what your you have to take inventory of the good things that are going on for you right in that time. Or, when it comes to parenting, take inventory of what you've done right. What, or when you're in your career, even to take inventory of the things that you've done right. Am I these things that I'm thinking I am? Am I as bad am I as bad at this as I think I am? Am I as, you know, as bad of a parent as I think I am? All that good stuff. Um, it helps to really go back and really put some thought into it before you commit to allowing the doubt monster to kind of take over and just, you know,
Yeah.
because I can tell you this much, you're going to be a lot better for it if you take inventory of yourself and you really go back and that came out of nowhere. And you really go back and think about, okay, well, I may have screwed up here, but over here, you know, the kids seem to be happy and fine. over here it doesn't seem like I did that right, but over here the kids, they're saying I'm a great dad or whatever, but or whatever the issue is for you, go back and take inventory of it. You'll come out finding that there's always going to be a lot more positives than negatives. Now, if you're one of those people where you find more negatives than positives, dude, then you've got to seek some help. You've got to seek some help, because if not, there's not
It's
going to
going to
be.
consume you.
It's going to consume you. Yeah. Um, I'll admit I've gotten there twice. And it does not feel good. It does not feel good. When it gets to that point, seek out help.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this podcast. Doubts happen. We all go through it. Just take inventory of yourself. You'll find that there's a lot more. You'll find that there's a lot more that's good.
I think the last thing I would say is just, it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to talk to doubt face to face, as long as you don't let doubt pull you into
It's normal, yeah.
a deep dark spot. So
It's not normal when you let it rule you.
yeah, I've had that happen before, and it sucks. So, but you kind of have to try to pull yourself out of it. And there's days that I wake up, and some time of the day, I try to be a little bit, introspective, or self-reflective, and I look back and I acknowledge the fact that there was doubts there, and I'm just like, you're justified there. Yeah, maybe not here. You're
Yeah.
way off base here. So, like Alamo said, take inventory. So, but anyway, that's our talk for tonight on the subject of doubt. So, hopefully, and listen, like, we aren't the subject matter experts on anything.
Yeah.
Not in any fucking stretch.
What a big part of this is experience.
Right. We've got enough experiences doing different things that we can maybe get on here. It's like, okay, here's what we learned from this, or here's what's we can pass on to you. So hopefully you make the best informed choice for you. Not necessarily a better choice, not necessarily the right choice, but just to make it as informed a decision as possible. So
Right.
hopefully by listening to us, at least the biggest thing that we can do is just to kind of start a conversation, just kind of get you thinking about it, to where you might be driving somewhere and you're thinking about our podcast, or something you listen to and you're like, never thought about it that way, or just something to work to get the creative cognitive processes in your brain flowing. If we can stir up a conversation in your own head, great, we've done something. That's all we can ask for. It's just to kind of get that process going. So
rocking and rolling.
So but yeah, that's, like I said, that's our conversation. We're going to start closing out like we always do. So if you are new to the show, which again, thank you for stopping by. If you're new to the show, thanks for stopping by. If you come back, appreciate you coming back and being a part of this with us. Alamo and I have been friends since high school. We've worked together in the private sector, and had a friend of ours named John that we worked with. Funny dude, like one of the best. And we all kind of left and went our own ways and stuff. And a few years ago, Alamo asked me to take part of an event that was being hosted by his wife's channel. So this is it's a group called Flipside Mentorship. If you want to see good things and great people in action, check out flipsidementorship.com. That is a fantastic thing they got going on over there, and I will sing their praises from the mountaintop as long as my voice will let me. Right now,
anyway,
probably not too much, but
yeah, exactly,
good stuff. Anyway, so Alamo and I kind of got back together. We worked the event, and it kind of put the bug, like, hey man, we should do something together. I miss hanging out. We miss I believe you were like, we got to do something to get the band back together or something along those lines. So not too far after this, I saw on email or on Facebook, somebody made a post about our friend John, and John had committed suicide. So I reached out to Alamo. I was like, "Hey man, did you hear about John?" He's like, "No, I got to reach out to him." And I said, "Well, you can't. He's gone." So we had previously talked about doing like a podcast or something. And I told Alamo, I was like, "Dude, I'm in. Like, let's do this." That's my aha moment, the moment of, the moment of action. So we got to do this. So we thought about what our message would be, helping the veteran community and the military community and whatnot. And we were kind of talking about titles, and we kind of came up. I give all the credit to you there, but you came up with the whole idea for Battle Bros for the name and stuff, and then we kind of came up with like mission statement, and we came up with the Bros Code. And what the Bros Code is it's 4 easy tenets to kind of remember when you're having a hard day, a rough day, a not easy day. So
Yeah.
if you can remember the letters BROS, you're going to be good. We're going to walk you through that right now. So got a reflection real bad, but it's on his cup right there. So yeah. Anyway, the first one, be tenacious. No matter what you do it to the utmost and fullest of your efforts and abilities. I told my daughter, I said, I'm not mad at you for getting A's and B's when you had straight A's. You also had a lot more going on. You're going and having fun. You're doing all this crazy stuff. You're killing it.
Killing it there, kid.
Whether it's doing your best in school, whether it's being a parent, having a job, being a service member, do it to the fullest and the best you can. No regrets. Don't go back. I have a lot of regrets. I wish I had done
Yeah.
things different here and there. I wish I would have stayed in long enough to get promoted to E5 and been a sergeant. That would have been great. But it is what it is. So
Yeah.
just remember, folks, in the words of the eternally wise Ron Swanson, don't half-ass two things. Whole ass one thing. Be tenacious. R, refuse to surrender. There's gonna be a lot of times when things come up that kind of get you off your game or kind of might jar you loose from, the path you're on. It's okay.
Mhm.
It happens. It's when you decide to just say fuck it and quit. That's going to
Yeah.
define you. But you can also be defined by saying, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to pick myself up. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to bust out my high speed little trusty compass. I'm going to reshoot my azimuth. I'm going to get my next bearing, and I'm taking off, and I'm going to go for it.
Here we.
That's all you got to do. Refuse to surrender. Oh, obliterate your obstacles. Going along with the whole refuse to surrender thing, whatever obstacles come up, navigate around them bitches. Doesn't
Get
matter what it
through 'em,
is.
go around them.
Over, under, around, through, whatever the case may be. Sometimes you gotta get off the main trail, take an alternate trail through the woods for a half mile, get back on the main route. Charlie Mike, keep going.
Trail
Whatever the case
walking.
may be.
I like trail walking.
We'll talk about that. I got some ideas for stuff.
Here we.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to breach a wall with some C4 and Bangalores to clear the obstacle. Sometimes you got to take some extraordinary measures and do whatever you got to do, whatever the case may be. Whatever that looks like, whatever you got to do, get it done and continue on and keep striving to hit the X and hit the OBJ. Okay. Lastly, S. Alamo actually kind of preemptively said this when he was saying his last few words there. But seek out help in a time of need. If you're not doing good, if you're not in a good place, man, like it's okay to seek help. For some reason, as military service members and veterans, we just feel like we have to internalize everything. Yeah, don't. That's going to give you a fucking ulcer. It's going to tear up your insides and all that kind of shit. If you need help, you have a wondrous amount of resources and people there. If first off, if you ever feel like you're going to harm yourself, or if you feel like there's no way out but the only way out, stop, pick up the phone, and call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can reach them at either 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. The last four letters just spell out the word talk. Or you can also dial 988. Again, that's 988. Once you get online with them or get on the phone, get on the horn with them, you can dial 1. That's going to put you in touch with somebody right then and there. They have trained professionals that are there ready to assist you if you need it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's if you feel like you're going to harm yourself. And also if you feel like there's nobody there to help you. If you have somebody there, reach out to them. I would say as a group, veterans, if we're not really super tight with guys, we kind of have a bad tendency of just not calling guys, checking in. Hey, man, just want to see how you're doing.
Yeah.
I just want to say, hear your voice, man. I miss you, love you, all that good shit. So, that can come in many different forms. It could be a family member. It could be, a sibling. It could be a parent. It could be a close relative. It can be a coworker. It can be, somebody in your immediate circle. It can be a lot of different things. It could be somebody that you served with, or somebody that might be in the military that might know what you're going through. Odds are they might have an inkling of it. It may not be 100%, but it'll be close. But reach out. I mean, we are social creatures by design. We should not be going through anything alone. Okay, so just remember that. If you feel like you need to talk to somebody, just pick up the phone and call somebody. Okay, we don't need to go through this stuff alone. There's been plenty of times where we've called each other. He's called me, I've called him, and just like, hey man, I need to talk about something. I got something on my mind. All right, dude. Or I've driven over to his house. We've cracked open a beer and just been like, all right, dude, what you got? I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. That is a wonderful thing to be able to have that. And I'm always going to be grateful for this guy right here, for the others in my life that I can call on. So that's important. So if you can remember those 4 things, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in time of need, you're going to have probably like a 95% chance of doing slightly better than the day before. And that's what it's all about. It's not going to be perfect right off the bat. You got to work at it. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort, and then go from there. So try to please remember that. Sometimes it's not about the show reaching you. Sometimes you hear about it. You might know somebody else that's going through some stuff and just be like, hey man, you should watch these 2 guys. They're kind of idiots, but they got a good message, and it's kind of important to what you're going through. So yeah. So
Yep.
But on that note, that's my piece of this. I'm going to hand it off to Alamo here. He's going to finish up closing out the show, and then we're going to get out of here for the week. So on you there, bud.
If you want to catch us on the socials, you can do that on multiple places, on multiple platforms. One of them being the meta platforms, aka the facebook.com/battlebros.podcast. You can also catch us on the Instagram at battlebros_podcast. And you can also catch us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at battlebrospc. That is, once again, at battlebrospc. You can instant message us on every single one of those platforms. You could give us comments, complaints, show ideas, things that you want to talk about or things that you want to hear about, whatever it may be. Go ahead and drop it right there in those instant messages right there. If you feel like you need a little bit more of a personal touch, if you don't feel like kind of airing out the wind of someone yourself, whoever, maybe a family member, we also have a Gmail, which is battlebrospc@gmail.com. That is battlebrospc@gmail.com. where you can send us a private message, and we do check that email. You can always get back to it, and we can always check back with you. So just leave us a message there, and we will get back to you on whatever subject it is that you feel comfortable. If you like catching us on other platforms as well, you can find us on Spotify. You can find us you can find us on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Doggone it. Google Podcasts.
Seamless. You're good. Seamless. It was fantastic. Keep on. Rock and roll
Am-
that shit, man.
Amazon Music, Stitcher, and any other audio platform that you listen to preferred. Also, you could catch us on the Rumble. If you don't like catching us over here on the YouTube, if you want to catch us on a different platform, we are on the Rumble. Just go to rumble.com, search Battle Bros, all one word, and you will find us there. Once again, that is rumble.com, search bar, Battle Bros, all one word, and you'll find every episode that we have here on the Rumble. Minus a few here and there, just because there were a few things, there were a few episodes that weren't able to get uploaded. But we'll get to that.
Speaking of that, I was just looking at our Spotify page. We got a couple episodes we got to get caught up on.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes we got to get caught up on a couple of the platforms, but we'll get to that.
Again, folks, thanks for stopping by. The last thing I want to say is another special shout out to our friend Brian for being on our show 2 weeks ago, but also happy birthday, buddy. I don't know how old you are. It's not airing your business, but it is your birthday, so happy birthday. You are not blood, but you are family. So I appreciate having you as a friend and a confidant and a brother. And
You
all your
pooping
stuff.
fertilizer
So,
dust yet?
I got nothing. Jesus.
I had to ask.
Up. I got nothing now. So
Yeah, I
thanks for stopping
mean,
by.
the oldest dirt thing, you know.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by for our conversation on doubt. Alamo has completely derailed my train of thought, so we're gonna call it a fucking show right there. Thanks for giving us a listen. Don't be afraid to pass it around to others that might need to hear the message we have. We appreciate everybody for taking part of this journey with us. And we will see you hopefully next week for our next latest and greatest episode. Again, this has been episode 107, talking about the subject of doubt of the Battle Bros podcast. My name is Mac. This is Alamo. And please remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in time with me. If you can do that, you're going to be helping yourself to be okay. So we'll see you next time. And thank you so much. Have a good night.
Battle Bros.